Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shotade Olusegun. Well, in this video, we're going to dissect the past, the present, and the future as proved by TWM. Now, TWM stands for Time Energy Wave Model. Well, we're going to use the unification we have by applying formula of everything and then the time energy wave model to actually explain the uh, the validity of the past, present, and future. Now, the time peregrination is very essential. Because by having the past, the present, and the future, then we know that we have emergence of events, and we can measure, the expiration of event as it retires into the past. We can actually measure the well, how should I put it, like for the future. We can measure the possibility of an event through future, and then we can measure the reality of an event at the present phase. So now, the past, the present, and the future, they now serve as a measuring metric for events. And so these um, these past, present, and future, they are very, very essential. They are very, very important. Now we're going to look at why why is it visible to have all these, the past, the present, and the future. We're going to actually see that by dissecting this diagram. Now, on this diagram, we have energy wave, then we have time wave. So time travels inversely to energy wave, and so when time is scaled y, then we have energy. We have energy being low, and once we have that kind of situation, then there is possibility for us to have convergence of mass. Now, the mass we have at quantum level will be entangled to that of the classical level because we are dealing with expansion. And so the relativistic nature of time to energy, emerges quantum mass and then that of the classical mass. So they're going to be relativistically related to one another, or each other rather. So now we have the entanglement at the central, at the vertically at the middle of this time energy wave model. So that tiny vertical line can actually represent the present, and then the entitle of the expansion, the entitle of that expansion before the vertical line, we'll tag that as the past, and then the entitle of the contraction in front of the vertical line, we tag that as the future. Now, how can we get to differentiate the future from the past? We get to differentiate the future from the past by the contracting nature of time energy wave model. When you look at this portion, you can see that time energy wave interactions are being contracted, and so when you look at this portion of the past, you see that time energy interactions are being expanded. So with that, we can get to know the trajectory of time energy wave model into the future or into the past or at the present. Now, at the present is very tiny, and you can see that the present has two color. Because we have a transition from quantum gravity no, transition from quantum mechanics to classical mechanics. So we have blue color up here. When it gets to the central point, we now have the green color. So you can see that the present D is blue while the present is green. What that is telling us is that at the present phase, we have the fusion of the future and the past. So the present is being made up of the future and the past. And it is for that reason that time travel time travel is visible in such a way that even without a particle or an object being traveled from one point to another point, then if we have a machine that can actually, read uh, the information, the inherent information of every object at the present phase, then we can get to decipher the information of the past and the present makeup of that object in the present phase. So with that, if we can read that, so if the information of the present and the past can be, encoded in such a way that computer can actually read and translate it to the reality of what the event of that formation, you know what that event of the formation has encoded in the object at the present phase, then we can actually have, the display, the visual display of what the particular object or the person has gone through in his past, even what is likely to accomplish or have in the future. So even without traveling from one point to another, there is feasibility of time travel by having a machine that can read the information of every object to translate it to the event of what they have gone through in their past and what they are likely to have in their future. And so that is that. Then one thing, the reason we have this visibility of the past and the present and the future is for the fact that when time scales wide and energy scales low, and then we have these two masses, then the trajectory is being suspended. That trajectory is being suspended in such a way that the masses are not being formed at the extreme topmost region of the wave and not at the extreme bottommost of the energy wave. So as a result of that, the suspension has, made the trajectory not to go through the central 0 point of this maxima, and not to even travel through this lowest 0 point of this minima. And as a result of that, then we have the visibility of event not happening instantly. We have the visibility of events not happening instantly at this region. And so the trajectory then goes like this till it gets into the singularity of the future and into the singularity of the past. So what that is telling us is that the suspension of the classical mass and the quantum mass inversely to each other has made us to have a lag in time scaling, such that we can have emanation of event based on the past, present, and the future. So because things are not happening instantly at this present region, then there is possibility for us to have the timeline of the past, the present, and the future. Now, if it were to be that this masses could, travel through the zero maximal point and the zero minimal point, then there will be no event at all. In fact, there will be no universe at all, because the suspension is what made it possible for us to have what is known as locality. For in entanglement, it is believed that entanglement at quantum level is non-local, and that simply means that there is no locality in entanglement. But basically, I've been saying it many times, that there is locality inside the non-locality of entanglement, because we have analyzed it severally. When you look at the quantum realm, right from the classical realm, based on relativity, you see you see the discrete nature of the quantum realm, because your the classical level where you are operating is so wide, there is no compression, there is no contraction. And at quantum level, we have contraction of time energy wave to facilitate a speed difference factor. And based on that speed difference factor, you'll be able to have the blurry effect, just like I use pixels of television screen to explain the other time. Your television screen is made up of pixels, and there are a lot of pixels that make up the whole large image that you see on screen. So when you see the big image on screen, you see a clear image on the screen. But if you zoom in on the image down deep to reach the quantum level, then you see that the image will become blurry. The pixels, as you have them, will become blurry. And that is as a result of relativity effect. But if one could disconnect at a point in time from that relativity effect, and probably the person could get to the quantum level where he will be able to see the events of the evolution, unfolding, he would actually see the event unfolding in continuous motion. You understand? It will not be discrete. So the discrete feelings, or the discrete perspective that we have, is as a result of relativity effect. And then we can see a typical example of being briefly disconnected from the constraint of the time energy wave that facilitates the uncertainty principle. When we extend energy beyond its limit threshold to get the actual mass of electron right here. And then we know that the reality of the entity is far beyond the constraint of time. And that is why there is feasibility of more than faster than the speed of light. And we could see that in the expansion of the universe. And so the reality of that has been explained at quantum level. So when you watch some of my previous videos, you get clear picture of this, of what I'm trying to explain here. So now, basically, what I want us to know now is that so once we travel beyond, then we can get the reality, because the universe is chains of inverted versions and dimensions. And so there is this interconnectivity between position phase and momentum phase. So because of that interconnectivity, for you to get the reality of an entity, then you have to venture into the momentum phase and at the birth of momentum phase, then you get the reality of the position phase. So that is that. So uncertainty principle is not is no more a problem, because right by using a formula of everything, we can get position and momentum at the same time. And another thing I want you to know, because um, there is this notion of, atom being almost empty, and we have it as 99.9999999, about having that 9 in 12 position, then we have percent. So we can get that reality by what we have here. Now, when you supply, let me just quickly, because I've been talking about formula of everything and I didn't write anything to give you an idea of what formula of everything is. This is the formula of everything. So when you supply, this is the wave magnitude. If you supply this wave magnitude, which is 5.7 times 10 minus 48, in the place of this m and this n, then you are going to get electrons mass worth, which is 0.000000001432. Now you can see that this value is so tiny. Now this is not the real value of electron, because the wave magnitude that you supply in this formula will only give you the mass worth of electron while electron is in motion. So the amplitude of the wave will give you the mass worth of electron that is gotten. That mass worth is gotten at the false rest state. So we call it arbitrary system of rest state. So the rest state that we have within the time energy wave model is not actually the real rest state. For you to get the real rest state, you will have to extend the energy beyond its limit threshold. Then you get to the conductivity and superconductivity level, and there you can get the original electrons mass worth, which is 9.109 times 10 minus 31. So we can see that having the mass worth of an electron to be this tiny, that gives you an idea of, yes, what the scientists meant by saying that atom is almost empty. So most of what we see at quantum level are not absolutely at rest, and so their mass worth is not the real mass worth. So that is that. So when they see atom in that state and having that tiny mass worth, they could say that the atom is almost empty. Yes, they may say atom is almost empty. But in real sense, when we look at the cosmos or the cosmological space, we know that empty space is not actually empty space. It is an ambient field of energy. So that is that. So now we have the reality of the past, the present, and the future. So how can this actually help our effort in traveling in time? Well, to travel in time, I said in one of my previous videos that particles will have to travel through energy path, and the energy path is this path. And why must particle travel through energy path? Is for the fact that the realization of the classical mass worth is based on the emergent mass worth at quantum level. Now, by the time you use formula of everything, you will see that whatever you get, the value you get here will determine the position of the classical mass worth. So the mass worth position here will determine the classical mass worth, and the position of the quantum mass worth will determine the position of classical mass worth. Also, you can put the mass worth at classical level into the formula to get the location of quantum mass worth and then the position of mass worth. The position of quantum mass worth, and then location of quantum mass what. You can use it interchangeably to get it, but basically we get the reality at quantum level, because it is at quantum level that we know that the trajectory must travel beyond the constraint to get the actual value. And when it does that, there is going to be a kind of radiation. In that process, there is possibility uh, for uh, for energy loss or mass loss, because energy is the same thing as mass. So when you have radiation by that act of traveling beyond the constraint of time energy wave model, that will now determine the eventual mass what that you can have at a classical level. So that operation of radiation or decaying as a result of traveling from the physical realm into the uh, unseen realm or hidden realm must be put in consideration. And so that is that. Well, in one of my videos, I explained the possibility of, traveling from the physical, realm into the unseen or unknown realm by, even putting the Pauli exclusion principle in consideration and all that. So you can just try and get that video to get more understanding on this. Well, then another thing is that even there is something I discover apart from the interconnectivity of position phase into momentum phase. There is even an interconnectivity of efficiency energy into potential energy, and then potential energy into efficiency energy. When you are at superconductivity level, you get efficiency, you get full efficiency energy, because at that point you're not going to have radiation, you're not going to have energy loss. And so the efficiency energy will be converted to potential energy, and it will fill the narrow space that you have at quantum level to facilitate speed difference factor. So same thing will happen here, because here we have energy density instead of mass density. So when you travel beyond, the energy you have outside this physical realm is potential in this phase, potential energy. So by that potential energy, you will get the actual value of the energy density, and then it will convert it immediately to energy density, and then it will fill the small space and facilitate acceleration at that phase. So we can see that the reality is beyond the physical realm, and that is a pattern that is pointing to supreme being, and that supreme being we're talking about is nobody but Almighty God. So we need to believe in Almighty God. We all have to believe that there is a God that creates the whole universe, because the interconnectivity is beyond what we can actually humanly understood. You understand? So now, based on that, from that we can see the interconnectivity of dimensions as well, because it's more or less like moving from one lower dimension to higher dimension. So those dimensions too, they are real, and I call dimension degree of freedom and power. So those are the things that we need to know, and they are the essential things that you know essential things that give us the mechanism of time travel, and even the metric of measure metric of measure as the past, the present, and the future. Okay, so I'm so glad we have this video too, and I believe the video is quite insightful and informative. If you like the video, make sure you like it for real. Click the like button, and then do not hesitate to share this video with your friends. then make sure you subscribe to my video so as to be notified for the subsequent video. And don't forget that this is a novel discovery. I'm going to put the link to my published research, or I'll put a link to my research publications in the description below, so anybody can actually download, click on the link to get the free article so as to explore this formula of everything and time energy with model. Thank you. God bless you.